Hello, my name is Felix Adi Pramono, or usually you can call me Felix J. Wang. I'm from Jakarta, the capital city of Indonesia. Now I'm at Petondan Besar Island, one island in the Kepulauan Seribu Regency. I would like to greet all participants of CREP Conference 2021, and at first, I would like to say thank you to all committees of CREP Conference 2021 for appointing me to bring this topic. This is a brief introduction about myself. I'm currently a land hermit crab and seashell shelter in Indonesia. I'm the first person in Indonesia who introduced the proper care of land hermit crabs back in 2006. I wrote the first land hermit crab care book in Indonesian language. My educational background was actually related to tourism and hospitality industry instead of marine biology. And before I started my current business and involved myself deeper into hermit crab world, I was working as a manager for an airline staff and flight attendant training institution. In this session, I would like to share to all of you about how hermit crabs can adapt to what Mother Nature gives to them, in this case, the left-handed or sinistral snail shells. So, sit back and relax, enjoy my presentation. Indonesia is a large country that covers 1,904,569 square kilometers, or approximately 735,358 square mile area. It is stretched between latitude of 11 degrees south up to 6 degrees north and longitudes of 95 degrees east up to 141 degrees east. Indonesia is the largest archipelago in the world. There are 5 main islands: Java, Sumatra, Kalimantan or Borneo, Sulawesi or Celebes, and the western half of New Guinea, or called Papua in Indonesian, plus other 13,000 smaller islands. It is no doubt that this country also has the longest coastline compared to other countries in the world if you accumulate or sum up the length of the coastline of all existing islands within Indonesian territory. The equator lies across the archipelago from west to the east. That means Indonesia has year-round sunshine. And due to the tropical climate and 78% humidity, the coastlines are perfect habitat for many land hermit crab species. Currently, there are 7 land hermit crab species that inhabit the Indonesian archipelago, plus the Bircus latro or coconut or rubber crab. That makes total 8 species of land hermit crab in this country. The habitat or living environment of each land hermit crab species may differ, and the shells that they use actually correlates with the existing gastropod species that inhabit the respective area. Now let me show you the pictures of the existing land hermit crab species of Indonesia. The first species is Coenobita brevimanus. This species usually live in the area between 50 meters up to 1 kilometer away from the coastline. Because the adult species lives quite inland or inside the jungle close to the beach, it is quite often if we find this species using giant African land snail species from Acatinidae family or Acatina fulica in Latin. When they are small, Coenobita brevimanus lives quite close to the coastline, and it is quite often when we see them using Nerites or Nericidae family. When they are adult, usually they use giant African snail family or green turban family. The second species is Coenobita cavipes. This species usually lives quite far from the coastline, or approximately between 100 meters up to 1 kilometer away. They prefer areas with plenty vegetation and soil substrate, and it quite makes sense why Coenobita cavipes is normally found wearing land snail shells. Achatina fulica or giant African snail is the most commonly used by Coenobitidae in Indonesia. This is a sample of a perfect habitat for Coenobita brevimanus and Coenobita cavipes. As you see over here, so many dried leaves, tree barks, and the soil or humus substrate. And this is also a sample of a pathway for female hermit crabs when they want to release their eggs into the water. As you can see over here, this is the intertidal zone, and this place will always be overflowed by the water during the high tide. And this is also the transition zone for the baby land hermit crabs. Usually after the female hermit crabs release their eggs, they will return to the place where they belong, more inland, over there. The third species is Coenobitidae. This species lives not too far from the coastline or approximately only 1 up to 50 meters away. They usually can be found on dry sandy beach beside mangrove area. The smaller Coenobitidae usually wears Babylon top shell or small Turbinidae family such as brown turban or Turbopruneus, while the larger ones are commonly found wearing spiral melongena or Volegalia coccidium or giant African snail shell. The fourth species is the popular strawberry land hermit crab or Coenobita perlatus. This species mainly inhabit beaches with shallow intertidal zone that may have some pools between the rocks. Since one of their habits is soaking themselves and crawling in the shallow salt water to replenish the shell water and to remove the mites inside the shell. The baby strawberries usually live closer to the coastline that makes many of them wearing small neurites, while the bigger ones usually move more inland. It is quite common that we encounter Coenobita perlatus wearing green turban shells because they live quite adjacent to the Turbinidae habitat, which is rocky shallow intertidal pools on the beach. They usually find empty or dead green turban snail shell when they venture the shallow intertidal pools to bathe themselves. The fifth and sixth species are Coenobita pseudorugosus and Coenobita rugosus. These two species live side by side on sandy beaches. The living environment is more or less similar to Coenobita lilas habitat. The most commonly used shells are from Turbinidae and Neritidae family. This is a sample of intertidal zone that serve for transition zone for baby land hermit crabs. And in this area, there are many mollusks. For example, over here is Nereid family. And this mollusk provides sufficient shells for baby land hermit crabs after they leave the megalopa stage. And it's no wonder then when we see small or baby land hermit crabs, especially from Coenobita rugosus species, most of them wearing nereid shells. The seventh species is Coenobita violacens. This species usually lives near mangrove forests, and the surrounding environment may be quite damp or muddy, or along the bank of river estuary. This species can be found wearing various snail shells, either land, freshwater, or marine snail shells. Achatina fulica or giant African snail shell is also popular among these species. Indonesia is a country rich of biodiversity. There are thousands of mollusks or gastropod species that have been identified in Indonesian territory and yet still more species to be identified. So far, marine gastropods that inhabit Indonesian waters are right-handed or dextral species. and many land hermit crabs are actually accustomed to wear the right-hand coiled snail shells. Perhaps more than 90% of the existing land hermit crabs in the world have never used any left-handed shells. After megalopause stage, most of them use the right-handed micromarine snail shells, and when they grow bigger, they will use the right-handed shells as well, because that's what Mother Nature provides in their habitat. But there will be a different story when in a particular place there is insufficiency of medium and large normal or right-handed coiled mollusk, as we know that the amount and type of gastropods are not equally distributed on each island or beach, even if they are in the same province or state. In this session, I'm going to share some anomalies on several islands around Java, where hermit crabs are accustomed to wear left-handed or sinistral land snail shells. I'm going to bring you to Seribu Islands, a group of atolls and small islands located in the northwest of Jakarta, the capital city of Indonesia. In this topic, I pick 5 islands out of approximately 350 islands: Bidadari Island, Untung Jawa Island, Tidung Besar Island, Melintang Kecil Island, and Putri Barat Island. Bidadari and Untung Jawa Islands are located quite close to Java as the main island. Tidung Besar Island are a little bit further to the northwest. On these 3 islands, we can find mangrove areas. Marine snails such as giant mangrove whelk or Terebralia palustris and several other snails from Potamididae family can be easily found around those islands. Due to the proximity to Java Island, the giant African snail or Achatina fulica, as well as spiral melongina marine snail Volegalia coclidium, also dominating the land and the shallow water of those islands. Therefore, those 3 species are the most commonly used by land hermit crabs who live on those islands. And on those 3 islands, the predominant species is Coenobita violacens. The other 2 islands I'm going to discuss in these sessions are Melintang Kecil and Putri Barat Islands, which are located approximately 70 kilometers northwest of Jakarta. The gastropod species that inhabit the vicinity of those islands are completely different from those who inhabit the land and waters around Bidadari, Untung Jawa, and Tidung Besar Island. On those 2 islands, we cannot find giant African snails on the vegetations. Instead, we can only find Amphidromus palaceus land snail, and all of them have left-hand coiled shells. On these islands, we can encounter 3 species of land hermit crabs: Coenobita brevimanus, Coenobita cavipes, Coenobita rugosus. The Coenobita brevimanus and Coenobita cavipes are dominating the inner part of the island. We may also occasionally see Coenobita violacens, Coenobita lila, and Coenobita pseudorugosus, but in very small population compared to those previously mentioned species. Let's now discuss about the 3 dominating species on Melintang Kecil and Putri Barat Island. The first one is Coenobita brevimanus. The small Coenobita brevimanus usually wear small turbo intercostalis or turbopetholatus shells that can be found scattered on the beach. They may also shells from other families, such as moon snails or Naticidae family, or bonnet snails or Cassidae family. When they reach medium size, they start to wear the left-handed Amphidromus palaceus shell. A few of them don't grow bigger and stay in the Amphidromus palaceus shell from molting to molting phases. That lets the right pincer grow as big as the left one, or even they may have bigger right pincer than the left pincer, and they use the right pincer to close the shell aperture when they retract into the shell. Most of the Coenobita brevimanus that grow beyond medium size will finally leave the left-handed Amphidromus palaceus shell and start to wear garbage shells such as plastic bottle, plastic caps, eggshell, or empty food cans. They are not so lucky as their cousins who live in the southern part of Sumatra and Java, where the shells from Turbinidae family can be easily found. A few amount of big-sized Coenobita brevianus are lucky enough to find less comfortable shells such as melon or bala shell or volute family, or sometimes also top shell or mother of pearl shell. The second species is Coenobita cavipes. Small Coenobita cavipes wear various seashells that they can find on the beach. When they reach medium size, they start to wear the left-handed Amphidromus palaceus shell. All of the Coenobita cavipes on those islands never grow beyond medium size, and 100% of them wear sinistral or left-handed Amphidromus palaceus shell that can be easily found inside the jungle of those islands. The third predominating species on Melintang Kecil and Putri Barat Island is Coenobita rugosus. Nothing special about Coenobita rugosus in that area. They normally wear seashells that are also commonly used by small Coenobita brevimanus. They sometimes shelter together with Coenobita lila or Coenobita pseudorugosus on those islands. And either Coenobita rugosus, Coenobita lila, and Coenobita pseudorugosus over there never grow beyond small size, and it is a rare occasion to encounter Coenobita lila or Coenobita pseudorugosus on those islands. It seems that all those three species on Melintang Kecil and Putri Barat Island are so isolated for thousands of years. The female hermit crabs lay eggs on the beaches, and it seems that most of the larvae also return to those islands. Especially for Coenobita cavipes, they have no choices of shell to wear besides the left-handed land snail shells. And it is actually quite unique because when I tried to offer them normal or right-handed empty shells at their size with approximately similar weight, they showed no interest to try. I would also like to share two pictures of Coenobita rugosus that I had obtained from Enggano Island, a small island in the Indian Ocean several miles from Sumatra's western coast. Coenobita rugosus species can be found abundantly throughout the island, as well as Coenobita brevimanus and Coenobita violacens. There are one sinistral land snail species named Amphidromus engganoensis, which is typical to that island. But when I got hermit crabs from that island, only a few percent of the hermit crabs wearing sinistral land snail shells. The reason is because there are plentiful normal or right-handed seashells on the coast of that island. There are two samples of Coenobita rugosus I show here. One of them seems have been using sinistral land snail shell for a long period that the right pincer has grown as big as the left pincer. And such right pincer serves as the BP to close the shell cavity when the hermit crab retracts into the shell. The other hermit crab still has smaller right pincer compared to the left one. Some individuals are actually quite adaptable to sinistral land snail shells. Some Coenobita perlatus or Coenobita pseudorugosus are willing to try some sinistral land snail shells from Amphidromus species that I offer to them. But it is indeed restricted to some individuals. Based on my observation, compared to other species that are not familiar with sinistral or left-handed shells, Coenobita perlatus tends to try various kinds of shells that they are not accustomed to wear in their natural habitat. Sometimes, out of 100 strawberry land hermit crabs, there are about 10 up to 15 hermit crabs that tries to use sinistral land snail shells that I offer. Thank you very much for watching my presentation. Let us love our hermit crabs and give proper care for them. And please stay healthy. Thank you and see you next time.